The following views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the producers, hosts, and or guests of the Bitter Marks podcast. We assume no responsibility for any errors or omissions in the content provided.
Listener discretion is advised.
Bitter Marks. Bitter Marks.
So this is the Bitter Marks podcast, the moment we've all been waiting for. All three of us in this room. One person in this room, two other people. Only one has been waiting for this. No one here has been waiting for this, and no one will be listening to this. And the only person that people want to hear is not here. He's sleeping. This is the Bitter Marks podcast. I am your host, Sasha. I am a wrestling fan. I love wrestling, but I'm here with some bitter people, or at least one bitter person.
Woo!
That's my host, my co-host, my double host. I'll call you Pee-wee because that's how it's going to come out.
That's fine.
So say hello, Pee-wee.
Hey, guys. How are you? Hey, world, listeners, universe. What is it?
It's nobody. It's just Santino.
Hi, Santino.
In this podcast, you're going to hear a lot of names of people you don't know, like BDI. You shouldn't want to know him. You might hear a lot of editing because we don't know what we're doing. I'm a horrible host.
Chop it up.
Nobody here likes to talk. I might have some character introductions in the middle of things, cutting in and out. Yeah, if you're expecting something to be lined up and pretty, you're in the wrong place, Santino.
The stuff that's going to get really hard to cut out is our ability to tell a story. I feel like it's going to be like a tree, where you start at the root with a main story point, and then we just head up from there. And we never get to the top of the tree as far as the point that we're trying to make. We're going to go on many, many tangents and probably never finish a single story that we start here.
Can we play tree ball, though?
Wait, who are you? Who are you? You unmasked man.
Finish the intros.
That voice comes to you by a handsome man, a man who lives in the middle of a field. Hold on, everybody be quiet. I want to see if they could hear the field.
We can hear you.
There was a bird that was heckling us earlier. We're in the middle of a field. We are in the home of a podcasting legend, if you ask me.
Big time.
Producer Tony, known throughout the land as Producer Tony.
Sure. Does many famous podcasts like Scoop and Poop.
Scoop and Poop. If you haven't heard Scoop and Poop, I mean...
You got about 8 years of content to catch up on.
Yeah, and you've probably been in the league for a long time, too.
And the other one that I really prefer is the video game podcast that I don't know the name of.
Team Space Pod.
Yes.
That's amazing, as I did not know that.
Oh, you should check that out. It's a fantastic video game podcast.
I don't know that I will.
Yes. Welcome to my house, guys.
Thank you for having us, man. This is a big joke turned into sad reality.
Sad is the best word to describe it. Tony, until a week ago, thought this was an elaborate prank.
I'm still waiting for, Ashton Kutcher to come through the door. Like, y'all got pranked. Or, what is it? Pranked?
Jacked.
Jacked. We got jacked.
We got jacked.
You got jacked.
So, yeah.
It was punked. It was punked.
Punked.
Yes,
that was the word.
That's a horrible word. So, Tony did not know that we were serious about recording a podcast. We didn't either, I guess.
This has been going on for years.
It's got to be 10 years now.
Well, there was also that other fictional podcast, Balls on Wood, that you were going to start with Giuseppe.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa. It's not fictional if it has a Twitter account.
It's true.
You can still go follow at Balls on Wood, by the way.
I do, actually.
And it's also the original basketball-named wrestling-themed podcast, even though it was not wrestling-themed. But, yeah, so we're here. It's me, Sasha, as a host. We got Pee-wee as another host.
Hey.
And we got producer Tony. We're going to be your friendly voices. We're going to have some guests along the way.
It's not going to be friendly. It's
true.
It's not going to be friendly. It's not going to be a fun time. It's going to be a frustrating...
Why don't you explain what Bitter Marks is, why we are doing this, and how we are different from the rest of wrestling?
Sasha and I, we like to joke that we both hate wrestling. And I don't think that's true. I think I don't think we'd be sitting here a couple hours before WrestleMania getting ready to record a podcast based on wrestling if we both truly hated it. But on a daily basis, him and I will explain to each other about how much we hate this business and the everything that comes with the wrestling business. And it's not that we hate it. we hate all of the minor aspects that come along with it. Me specifically, I hate a lot of the fan aspects that come along with it, including all of these. Can we swear on here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of self-editing just went out the window. A lot of those fan podcasts that are out there that claim to be wrestling news and recap shows. I don't know about Sasha, but I cannot stand those podcasts and the abundance that are out there and the content that they lack within them. A lot of them are professionally done, but the content is fucking terrible. And that's what we're here to get to give our opinions on and give our another view on the same aspects of the wrestling world.
So we're going to talk shit.
There you go.
Is number one.
There you go.
But the thing is, we're going to do recaps, but it's not going to be
I did not
planned.
sign on for this.
Well, it's not going to be planned recaps.
Okay.
As people will hear later, there's going to be a recap of a show that none of the three of us in this room watched.
Sure.
I literally read results, and we're going to go over it because I read some interesting things.
And that's fine. Don't tune into this podcast for the results. Tune in for the podcast for our reactions to the results.
If you want to know something,
if you
you're
want to
in the wrong
recap,
spot.
if you want to recap, go find one of the other million podcasts, wrestling podcasts that are out there that'll give you that boring ass recap. We're here to give you an actual opinion on things, both good and bad, and as far as I'm concerned, we're not going to pull punches here.
I'm here for the dick jokes, personally. That's
true.
my only
I'm
purpose.
already pissed off. Like, giving this intro, I'm going over everything that we talked about for the past couple months, and I'm just
You're on brand with the name.
I'm
Bitter
ready to
Marks.
go. This is
All right, so outside of just shitting on things, we're going to do some other things. We're going to recap things, some which we will have seen, some which we will not have seen. We're going to talk to guests, random guests that you will not know. Actually, Santino, you will know them personally. Yeah, so we're going to talk to people and how they got into wrestling and where they are now in their wrestling fandom, non-fandom, all that kind of stuff. We're going to, this is a big one, we're going to locate former WWE superstar Casey James. We're going to find him. We believe he's in Kentucky. We've been led to believe he's in Louisville, Kentucky.
we're coming for you, Strangler.
And when we find out where he is, we're going to go do a live remote from whether it's his home, his place of work, anywhere.
As soon as that, I have a wife and a child at home who both need me desperately to help maintain the household. I'm dropping everything.
See you later.
And getting on I was going to say get in on the first plane, but we're obviously driving / taking a bus down to Kentucky to hunt this man out.
Honestly, if we make that happen, this might turn into just a Casey James podcast.
Sure.
So
Which eventually will just hopefully be hosted by him, and we can just sit at home.
Yeah, and listen. I would love to listen to that podcast. Outside of that, we're going to talk about all kinds of different topics. Some may take 20 seconds for us to talk about. Some may take 20 minutes for us to talk about. We're going to talk about our own personal fandom, growing up as wrestling fans, going to shows of feds that we used to go to. We're going to talk about stuff that we do now. I'm the only active participant in live wrestling shows here.
You're going to get a lot of opinions on this show, and what we're going to do in the beginning episodes of this podcast is just give you a little background on who we are and why our opinions are somewhat valid, and that we at least know what we're talking about. We're not saying you need to agree with everything we're going to say, because you're definitely not, but at least you'll understand where we're coming from and why we have the opinions that we do.
We've all done the backyard wrestling thing. We were all fans. Pee-wee was a referee for at least 35 years. How long was it?
Give or take. It was about 11 years.
11 years. I trained to be a wrestler. I was a wrestler, if you want to call it that, for about 2 years. We all have experience one way or another as wrestling people, and we've kind of gone away from it for a little bit. Another thing I want to break some news to you guys about here.
Oh, boy.
It's something I'm calling the mass trans shit incident. We're going to be going over this.
Say no more. It's
going to be probably an eight-parter.
Oh, at least
an hour each part.
One guest per part.
It's a mini series. I want to say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just call Netflix now.
It's going to be fantastic for about 12 people. About 12 people are going to love it.
Our core audience. Yeah.
So I've already started digging deep into this. We're going to have interviews. We're going to have witnesses. We're going to have hotel employees. I don't want to go further into it, but that's something that I'm definitely planning on. Maybe around episode 100.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's start off with some simple questions here.
Okay. Allow them, the audience, to get to know us a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna do eventual in-depth analysis of each one of our wrestling lives. But for now, what's your first wrestling show you ever went to, Pee-wee?
Raw in Chicago, where Chris Jericho debuted.
So that was 99?
Yeah, it was deep into high school. I'll get into it when we get into my history, but I did not have a big background in wrestling prior to high school.
Here's a question that I don't think is going to come up when we discuss our histories. How did I meet you?
Gym class.
Amazing. How old were we?
It had to be sophomore year of high school.
Tony?
I met you in social studies class, I believe.
Around the same time?
I think it was freshman year. Yeah.
So, Pee-wee, you were not involved in the DCWA from day one. DCWA, which was our backyard wrestling league.
There you go. Yeah, we're going to use that abbreviation quite a bit, the DuPage County Wrestling Association. Before I knew about that,
we don't have to go deep.
I was going to say, a peek behind the curtain is that I have 5 pages of notes for my wrestling history when we start going through it. In there, it talks about how Sasha and I met. For me, it started when I started playing hockey or roller hockey in the streets with a group of guys. None were involved with wrestling, but it was in like 1996, 97 when NWO DX started getting popular. I started watching right around then, and then the only guy in the hockey team that was watching at the same time was the goalie. Are we giving full names on here?
Only his.
Oh, no.
Do you want his phone number and his address as well?
He works at a jewelry store.
There you go.
Somewhere.
So Derek was the goalie for our hockey team. And him and I, between games, just during when the ball was on the other side of the court, him and I would just pull up next to each other and start talking about hockey or talking about wrestling. And
amazing.
Yeah, right.
Your team was not very good, obviously.
Absolutely.
That coach was pissed.
Yeah, he was.
Well, eventually I turned into the coach.
Oh,
I was, and that's only because the team was so good and I was so bad. They wanted to take me off the team and just keep me around, but not give me any power as a coach. So I was moved to the.
For an unathletic man that you are, you're a hell of a referee.
Oh, there you go.
I'll give you that.
There you go. So long story short, me and Daryl, we started talking about wrestling while playing hockey, and then him and I had gym class together. We were talking about wrestling during gym class, and you were in the same gym class. It was me, you, Derek, and Nam.
Oh yeah,
right. And so the 4 of us started talking about wrestling from there, and there was very little talk about the DCWA. Literally the first conversation I remember you having is inviting me to the next show, which was like the upcoming Saturday. We were talking on a Tuesday. You're like, "Hey, here's the address. Come to this field that we were going to have this backyard wrestling thing in. We need you to be the ref."
So
You're working.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it was.
So 1, I'm a hell of a promoter.
Yeah.
And 2, I don't know why you would ever go to an empty field.
Well, that's the thing. So that Saturday came, and we talked about it, leading up to it. But then Saturday comes. I was at least 16 because I was driving myself. So maybe it was junior year, maybe late sophomore year. Either way, I tried to find this open field, and it was at what we called the pit. And I drove around for 30 minutes before the show, couldn't find it.
Jesus, I forgot about the pit. Amazing.
So I ended up giving up after that half hour and just went home. I was like, well, I'll talk to him on Monday, see how the show went. And so Monday came along, gym class comes, and I apologize for not coming. You obviously don't care. And you just invite me to the next show. You give me a little better directions, and I show up, and we're off to the races.
He's one hell of a promoter right there.
That's right.
You got him to come back, so.
Listen, always keep them wanting more. So I
needed to
purposely
see this.
sent people to an empty field the first time.
There was no show that weekend.
There was nothing.
Before that, I'd never heard of backyard wrestling. I was very, I don't want to say sheltered, but as far as my wrestling knowledge was, it was very limited. I just found out about wrestling websites, and I was daily going to
so you were into it because of Oh,
Yeah, you're stepping on Jerwak. I was daily going to jerwak.net, looking at like wrestlers' real names,
you were
deceased
a mark
wrestlers.
immediately. You were a mark.
100%. It blew my mind that it literally blew my mind that Diesel was Kevin Nash in WCW.
So the NWO basically led you to a field where you would
Yeah.
become a professional referee,
100%.
and then now today.
And I do remember during that second week after that Saturday where I couldn't find the show, I went back to gym class. You gave me better directions, and that day was when I was going to say we talked about my referee name, but it was just you telling me, hey, you're going to be a referee. Your name is going to be Dan Pee Wee Morris.
Yeah.
And I just said, I mean, this is coming. I was a big nerd in birth through 8th grade. So I'm just happy to have friends at this point. I'm sure. Call me whatever you want.
You were not my friend.
Right, not at all.
No. We're
Still
still
not,
kind
still
of
not.
yeah, it's shaky.
On the outs, yeah.
So you gave me my backyard wrestling name. It was Dan Pee Wee Morris, which was, I believe, a reference to John Pee Wee Moore from ECW. And eventually it just got shortened down to Pee Wee. Everybody just from day one called me Pee Wee. So, and it still sticks. Obviously, I'm not doing backyard wrestling. I haven't done backyard wrestling since 2002, 2003, and everyone I know.
Yeah, my mom calls me
Yeah,
Pee-wee.
that's not an exaggeration. Your mom does call me Pee Wee.
All our moms call us by our backyard wrestling names. Well, kind of.
I'd say half and half.
Like Worm.
Worm will always be Worm. Derek eventually became Putski. And
For
he'll
no
always
reason.
Or-
He's not Polish.
Putski, as
Putski.
Tommy Dreamer would call him.
Yeah.
I know Stephanie and Polish Power Putski are the defending champions.
All right, so that's
the long story short, or long story long, of how I met you and got involved in the DuPage County Wrestling Association backyard fed.
Tony. Me and you had apparently social studies.
Yeah. So I was.
So we were. Hold on, to cut you off. We were friends then before the wrestling stuff.
I wouldn't say friends. We knew each other. We would make jokes.
We went to a Limp Bizkit concert.
We did. We hung out at a Limp
Wow.
Bizkit concert.
Wow.
And Kid Rock.
Kid Rock was also there.
Same concert.
Yeah.
Remained friends.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting fact for you. Me and Tony went to our first concert. That was the first time we hung out. It was Limp Bizkit, Stained,
Yep.
and
Kid
Kid Rock
Jesus.
with Joe C. Still alive.
Yeah, he was alive.
I don't know
He
how
was
you,
not dead and at the show.
how do you remember all that? Like, that's one thing you guys are going to quickly learn over this podcast is that my memory is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, here's something for you. Yesterday, we were in Chicago, and we ran into somebody.
Oh,
We ran into
This
a
was my
friend,
nightmare.
Kurt.
yeah.
And Kurt used to go to all the DCWA shows back in the day. We went to high school
Which I did
with
not
him.
remember, but yes.
I haven't seen Kurt in probably 10 years. It's been a long time. And at that concert that we went to, me and Tony, Kurt was there because he was a member of the Cottonmouth Kings street team. And he handed us stickers. And then I believe we threw them away
Oh
immediately.
yeah, immediately. Yes.
So that's the first time me and Tony hung out. And yesterday when we hung out,
We literally
ran
saw him
into
12 hours ago. That's
That's amazing.
All right, so we met in school.
Yeah.
Onward.
So I used to watch wrestling in the '80s, like big into it, like like the heyday WWF stuff. We used to go to shows. I remember we went to a Survivor Series the year. That
What was your first show?
It had to have been a dark match at the Rosemont Horizon.
It's just a house show.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
That's okay.
So yeah,
You're out.
I used to watch a lot of wrestling in the '80s when I was a kid. I didn't really watch it much in the '90s, I want to say. And then I was actually visiting one of my grandma's relatives in California, and she had a black box, and we were there the night that the NWO.
Wow.
Oh no, not the NWO.
Bash at the
NWO
Beach?
started the Bash at the Beach.
Wow.
I was watching it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is fucking awesome!" So I was like totally in. I started watching it again, and then a couple years later, we met, hung out at a Limp Bizkit concert.
Sasha, did you see Bash at the Beach live?
I don't remember, so
Okay.
you're going to say my memory is so great because I remember a Limp Bizkit concert. I don't think in fact, I'm 99% sure I didn't watch Bash at the Beach live. And I want to say that our friend Ivica, DPG, hold for edit, is probably the one who was like, hey, you need to watch this. And going back and thinking of a lot of the stuff that I was trying to come up with for this podcast, I realized Ivica was probably the one who introduced me to a lot of stuff. Like, he introduced me to ECW.
Okay.
Is my favorite.
That was a
thing
lot of the
all
stuff we
time.
talked about in gym class too. I'm sure we'll get into ECW eventually, but it was huge in the Chicagoland area. It was on at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, not a school night, and we would talk about it in school the next day, every day when after it aired on whatever channel it was on.
I don't think I watched it live, but that's when I came back into it from, like, I was a child who liked wrestling. Then, the mid-'90s was probably a weird time for wrestling in general. It wasn't that exciting. And then once the NWO hit, I mean...
It was over.
It was over. It's probably the reason why there's still stuff today, like these conventions and stuff for, like, nerds us who are like, I want to take a picture with a sober Scott Hall.
Right.
Virgil's here? Oh, shit. Let's go.
Yeah. So that's how we all met each other. That's the first shows that we went to. My first show was a house show in 1992.
I was probably there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there was like 2,500 people there, is what I read recently. So that's why I think it, because I read it recently.
Do you remember any of the matches on the card? Like, could you go back and look at, like...
Dude,
I don't
remember...
know if Meltzer has reports on, like, every house show, but...
I remember... Not like full matches, but remember
just who wrestled who,
Texas. Yeah. My cousin Nick, aka Bluff, who hold for edit.
Say his name after the edit.
Oh, okay.
You pause and then come back and then say.
I'm not even going to edit that part. But anyway, Bluff is me, him, and his brother Goran. I will not call him by his wrestling name because it's Chronic Kid, and I don't want to say that every time. Also, he has children.
Sure. That's not even his original name, but yeah.
Yeah, so me, Nick, and Goran grew up wrestling fans. That first show that we ever went to was a WWE house show. Nick can tell you that the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, pointed directly at me. Now, we were sitting about 20 rows up, but I noticed.
Sure.
I noticed his fake leg. That's not true, but I say it's true. And he pointed directly at me, and that was the moment that I knew that I would like wrestling for a couple years and then not for like 15 years and then get back into it when I grew
my
up.
point in asking if you remember the card was just to you could probably go back into the archives and find that like the entire card, the rundown of the whole thing.
I did recently, which is where I found the shattering of attendance. 2,500 people inside of the Rosemont Horizon, which holds like, I don't know, 14,000 maybe. Maybe not that much, but I remember...
We can hold for edit and then just say every number and then...
I remember Texas Tornado. I remember a Papa Shango Ultimate Warrior thing because that's when they were doing the throwing up stuff. And then the main event was Brett versus Shawn. Bret Hart, who was attacked viciously yesterday.
Hours ago.
That's when Shawn was a heel and Sherry was managing him.
If you want to get into some bitter stuff on that Brett stuff,
Hold on.
Do you want to do this or no?
Which Brett stuff? The stuff that happened yesterday?
Yeah, the stuff that's in the immediate news.
We'll go into that into a little bit.
All right, that's fine.
So now is the point in the podcast where I come in and I tell you that we had no clue what we were doing when we recorded this thing. What's that? You want random segments that you don't know about? Here you go.
Oh, you didn't know?
All right, so this is going to be our first segment here, and it's a segment that you may never hear again, so it might not be called a segment. It might just be called talking. But basically the idea is that we've been watching wrestling for a long time, and is there something that it's been right in front of your face basically for a long time that you have not noticed, and then you notice it and you're like, Jesus Christ.
I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, what's wrong with me?
I do want to, do we have a name for this segment?
Oh, you didn't know?
No, we don't have a name yet. I'll create a guitar.
I had a name for it. I think it's dumb, but what do you think of?
Oh, you didn't know?
It's dumb, but it fits.
Yeah.
Think of the sound drops. Think of the sound drops.
Right?
All
right,
right,
there you go. Just feed a sound drop in there.
Okay.
Before we go into this, I do want to preface this because it is a very slippery slope. Let's assume this podcast takes off. Let's assume that we have thousands upon thousands of Twitter followers. Mm-hmm. What I do not want from you fucks out there is a tweet about every little fucking detail that you think that we missed that we didn't. Because if we make this a segment and people are like, I want to help the podcast. I want to help these guys out. Here's a stat that I found. don't fucking tweet us. I will block you immediately. I don't want to hear that Diesel had a horn in the beginning of his theme because he's a truck. That's bullshit.
Now, here's the thing.
I don't want any, no matter how good I'm going to cut you off. No matter how good you think your idea is, don't tweet us. Ever.
Now, here's the thing. We have a shared account at Bittermarks on Twitter and Instagram. Please, if you ever have anything like the Diesel horn thing, please tweet that in, because I would love to see that. And depending on who checks the Twitter, you may or may not be blocked.
I would be down for like another segment where it's called, "Oh, we did know these fucks on Twitter won't stop tweeting at us these obvious bits of wrestling information." One I'll give you an example before I get to this week's. The one that blew my mind, I mean, a few years ago, but it was the term squared circle. Do you know where that comes from?
My assumption is when they go to lock up, they go in a circle while they're in a squared ring.
Okay. And that's going to be the thing with a lot of these, is that maybe it's obvious to one of us and not the other one, so maybe this doesn't qualify. My understanding of what the definition of, or where the name originated as far as squared circle comes from, squared circle. Squared being that the stage that is performed on is a square, but it's also called a ring. A squared circle. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, mind blown? Not mind blown.
Some bad geometry.
Yeah, agreed. It's not a great name.
Now that seems like something that was created by a carny, which
agreed.
I like
100%. 100%.
I've never heard
wrestlers
that.
are not smart, so
true.
This is also true.
Okay, so that's literally just the example to give you an idea of what we're saying is almost like a gray area of what's very well known versus what's out there and. You probably should have known. You probably should have connected the dots, but haven't yet.
And if you ask me in 6 weeks why it's called squared circle, I'm still going to give you the same answer that I gave you.
And you might be right. I could be wrong.
No, I'm not even saying that I'm right. I'm going to forget yours because I've been thinking that mine was correct for the past 20 years or whatever.
That's okay.
So,
right,
I hope we can still be friends after that.
Well, let me try to blow your mind first on this next one, and then we'll
blow away.
All right. The man who was attacked last night at the Hall of Fame. Give me his full name.
Tony, I'll let you handle this one.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
That's right. Bret the Hitman Hart. Tony, do you remember what his finish was? What the move was?
It was the sharpshooter.
Do you know why it was called the sharpshooter?
Probably because Stu Hart shot something when Bret was a very small child.
I like your guess. Bret the Hitman Hart's finish was called the sharpshooter because he's a hitman who does sharpshooting.
You see that never clicked with me.
Right?
That's
I don't think that clicks with anybody.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Right?
Because, like, if you think of him, his gimmick, it really wasn't he was a hitman.
No, not at all. Right.
It was just, dude that wears pink and has weird sunglasses.
There is a WCW action figure where he does look like a hitman. Like, they did those.
Oh, yeah.
Jericho was like a ringmaster where he literally came to the ring with a lion. I never thought about that. That makes sense too,
literal gimmicks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the
blew my mind. Blew my mind when you told me that.
Right.
And I'm not going to act like
that whole stat.
New,
that stat right there of the sharpshooter being the name based on the hitman being his nickname. That was the tidbit that was the seed that grew this segment when I told Sasha this 3 weeks ago.
And the thing is, it's not like we are brand new wrestling fans. Like I said,
right.
I saw Bret Hart wrestle in 1992. Never have I connected the sharpshooter and Bret Hart. Maybe we're from a lower level IQ section of the United States.
That's the thing about this segment is that maybe this is common knowledge to everybody outside this room, but I'd never thought about it. And just like you, my sister was not a wrestling fan at all, but her favorite wrestler when I would watch it would be Bret Hart. And I'm assuming she also had she knew what the name was. She knew she was familiar with the sharpshooter because I'd put it on her every other day. But I don't think she ever connected the dots between sharpshooter and hitman.
I have one that's not as elaborate, but after you said it, I was trying to think of one, and I couldn't come up with anything because I'm not smart.
That's okay.
And then it showed up just randomly. I was watching one day, and it was AJ Styles, who comes out, and he has something that says P1 on his shirt.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, why does it say P1? And I've thought of this for years, since he came to the WWE.
See, this is one of those where it's like,
I'm an
half
idiot.
the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my thoughts. Is you're an idiot. Right?
So I'm like, is it a video game reference? I don't understand the P1.
Tony, as a very lax fan of the current product, Tony watches literally the Rumble and maybe one other pay-per-view a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the P1 stands for?
No.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Got
That's a strike against me for you.
Well, no, I mean, it's definitely against me on this one. This was just an oversight, a very bad oversight.
Sure.
So his nickname is the Phenomenal One, AJ Styles.
I've never heard of called that before in my life.
That's
How little of a fan Tony
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
He's literally
yeah.
been the phenomenal one since day one in WWE. But
so that's his nickname, and the P1 stands for
Phenomenal One.
sure.
which is phenomenal. However, it went way over my head for far too long. We're getting a fax.
Phenomenal.
Get rid of that fact.
Rack 'em.
I hope she didn't need that. Damn it.
Not his.
All right, so now what I'm going to do here, we're going to give you a pregame Wrestlemania show that you're going to hear weeks after Wrestlemania. I'm just going to go through matches very quickly here, and I want you guys to predict. Pee-wee, you're going to have a better understanding. Tony, yours,
This is going to be awesome.
this is going to be money right here. So we're going to go first match, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar
You
is...
want to start at the top? What are you going to end with? The cruiserweight match?
Well, I was going to end with the Revival. I guess I'll go in reverse order. So first match, we're going to go with the Revival, who I guarantee Tony doesn't know who they are.
Nope.
You don't know the other two either.
Versus Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, who have a podcast on wrestling figures.
Okay.
If that sways your
right.
direction. Who do you got?
So the Revival is a tag team with a name, right?
Correct.
Yes.
I'll take them.
And they are the champs.
I hate wrestlers with two names and no gimmicks.
Okay.
Sure.
So whatever two jabroni names that you just said.
Here's one thing that you're going to like. Kurt Hawkins has a losing streak of almost 300 matches.
Oh, yeah.
No joke.
Keep it going.
All right.
Get a gimmick,
But
bum.
here's the thing: they're strongly teasing that he's about to they made a big deal about that losing streak, and this is for the belts at Mania. He's snapping that streak tonight.
All right, so then that's your prediction.
Not
It has to
happening.
happen. It has to
Not
happen.
happening. He's going to lose.
Wow.
I'm going to
Bold
go
prediction from a man that doesn't watch wrestling.
I'm going to go a different way. Now, yesterday something happened which we're going to talk about later, but a man named
Oh wow.
Dash
Interesting.
Wilder
Yeah.
became a internet sensation because he punched a man in a Rastafarian hat.
Sure.
Strictly based on that, I'm going with the Revival.
All right. I like that pick.
I think Vince is going to be like, "You have moxie, Dash."
It could go either way. Tony, what he's talking about is that's the guy who
Beat the shit out of the guy who...
who jumped Brett.
Yeah.
So
Do we know
it's-
who that guy was, by the way? Or
I saw the name today, but it didn't give a. I don't care
some
about his
guy?
name. I
Just
want the
some guy?
reason. I wanted to know why. So
Liberals.
Listen here, guy. I'm going to give you $20,000 to run on the ring.
So I like that pick, but I think it can go either way because of that. I can go either way as far as Dash can either get rewarded for punching the guy and knocking him out, or he can get punished for doing it. Because you got to let security do their job. Security already had him out. He was away from Brett. He wasn't
But
doing
Vince
anything.
is still a carny
He's
at
old
heart.
school.
Yeah,
Agree.
yeah.
I do
Oh,
agree
yeah.
with you. I don't know what's going to happen today. If maybe they win the belts back tomorrow.
Maybe.
They've done it to Ryder before. Who knows? They could do it again.
The next match we're going to go to is the Usos, who are the champions, in a fatal four-way match for their tag titles. Yes, Tony, there are two sets of tag titles.
Okay.
And they're going to be going against Pee-wee's favorite wrestler, Ricochet,
Ugh.
and Aleister Black, who are two guys who were in NXT for a while. Do you know what NXT is?
Yeah, it's like the minor leagues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they were there for a while. They're both pretty big stars. They've moved.
Pretty
them up.
big is a relative term, considering Ricochet is literally 3'7".
And then they're going to take on the Bar, who are Cesaro and Sheamus. And then also Shinsuke Nakamura and the greatest of all time, Rusev. Who you got, Pee-wee? Ricochet?
Logistically thinking, I do think they have a chance to. Like, if I'm just trying to pick winners, who I actually think will win, Ricochet's and Black are at one of the tops of the list, or my list.
Well, it would be a list of four.
I understand. I think it's between them, and I'll just say the Usos retain.
Okay, Tony?
So they win both championships?
No. There's a SmackDown champion and
Okay.
there's a Raw
That
championship.
first match
the
that
first
we
match
already
is
did
the Raw.
was the Raw. Tag
Okay,
Team
I
Championship.
got you.
I'm a poor host. I apologize.
Yeah. Give me Rusev. I like that guy.
I think
I
you just
like
stole
your
Sasha's
style.
pick, yeah.
No, my pick is the Usos.
Okay.
I just think these other teams are just thrown in there to have a match.
But they are pushing Ricochet and Black to the moon.
True, but they lost to War Machine.
That's just because they're not going to be on NXT anymore.
Yeah, but they lost to an NXT tag team.
In
How are they going to beat the
okay,
Usos?
in Vince's world, NXT does not exist.
I know my argument is null and void, but it's an argument that I will die on.
All right.
Now, here's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the name of this match, and I'm not going to give you participants, and you're going to have to just give me a name.
Ooh.
So the
Sable.
WrestleMania close women's battle royal.
Wow.
Pee-wee, who you got?
I legitimately don't know who's in this.
Okay, I'll go first.
Sure.
She's been on TV. She hasn't gotten into a ring because the last time she was in a ring, she made an ass of herself.
Okay.
And then they decided they're going to push her to the moons, apparently. Both moons. And that's Lacey, and I don't know her last name.
Sure, Evans. Yeah.
I was going to go with Peterson. Is that the one that Drew Peterson killed?
I think it is, actually.
So, yeah, I'll go Lacey, not Peterson.
Okay.
Who you got?
Man, I really don't know who's in this
I'll
match.
go through some names. Asuka is the favorite because she's
okay.
Asuka.
Yeah.
Nikki Cross is one.
What is
That's
this
all I
for?
have.
What
I
are
have
they-
two women.
okay.
The revolution
It's
is
a really
real.
small battle royal, yeah.
What are they? Is this for the women's?
You're thinking too hard. Just give me a name.
They don't win anything?
I don't think so. I don't even think they get a trophy like the men's battle.
Okay.
royal.
Is Naya in the match?
No,
is a hard-hitting
she's
podcast.
not. She's not, and
We
that's
don't know anything.
the thing is. There's a 4-way for the women's tag titles, which Tony. There's now women's tag titles, and so that eliminates 8 people who you probably would be able to
Right.
name.
And then 3 in the main event, so there's 7.
So give me
Yeah.
any women's
Okay.
name. Give
Give
me a
me-
woman's name.
Give me Asuka. I think that's a smart choice.
And Tony,
Sasha Banks.
Sure,
she
give it
is
to her.
in the tag title. She's a
Damn
tag
it!
champion.
Every woman you
I was
know.
I was
is
just
gonna be in
trying to
that match.
debate you. And
Yeah, it didn't work.
Damn it.
Any woman's name, and I will tell you who you picked.
Stacy.
Stacy Keibler makes a comeback.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's
She was
do it.
at the.
She was at
she
Hall of
She
Fame.
made an appearance on WWF TV in the
Still
last
hot,
12
probably,
hours.
too. Yeah.
Now, according to Wikipedia, this is the 5th least important match. We have Daniel Bryan, the world champion, going against Kofi Kingston, who is the biggest face going right now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
insane.
don't know what's going on with this.
For me personally, I picked Kofi Kingston to lose. Everything with my heart and my eyes say that he's going to win, but I'm just going to continue saying he's going to lose so that I can use it as bait towards something
Okay.
at a later date. Who
That's
you got?
fine. I was also going to say that Kofi loses. I like the theory that Kofi is being portrayed, but being defaced as a B-plus player by Daniel Bryan. And I think the loss tonight will make that a realization for him, and then he breaks down, heel turn, blah, 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 blah.
Tony?
So, somebody told me this, that Daniel Bryan is now like a vegan, like
Oh, yeah, he's
kind
awesome.
of like, yeah, kind of that kind of
One
annoying.
of the biggest heels in the company.
Yeah,
It's-
let's roll with that.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's unbelievable what he's done.
Like he made like a wooden belt or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's
That's fantastic.
cage free.
Gluten free.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me that guy.
He's
Smart.
gone from being the biggest face in the
So
company.
all 3 of us picked that Kofi's going to lose.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because that's not
You
gonna
will not
happen.
find
That's-
any podcast in the world that did what we just did.
Well, this is not based on like fact. This is just
Oh, sure.
for the lulz.
We should have recorded this tomorrow and acted like it was a WrestleMania prediction.
Next matchup is Tony's favorite match. It's Bayley and Sasha Banks, the women's tag champs, versus Beth Phoenix, who is the wife of Edge and hasn't wrestled in 7 years, tagging with Natalia, who watched Bret Hart get beat up yesterday, versus the Iconics versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Tony, I'm asking you the hard-hitting question. Who you got?
I want to see you pissed off, so let's say Sasha Banks holds onto the belt.
Also, you can't name any of the other women that I just named to you. Is that
No,
correct?
that is actually correct. Yes.
All right,
Oh,
Pee-wee,
amazing.
me and you, I think, have the same answer.
I don't know. I think Tony's pick is a smart one. I think they'd be dumb to take the belts off of the Bayley and Sasha so soon. I think you need to keep it on them for a long time, considering they're the first tag team champions for the women's.
But that doesn't make sense because the WWE doesn't do what they're supposed to do.
I agreed. Who are the third team? Every time.
Tasmania and somebody else. You just
Unedit.
said. Yeah.
The Iconics is who I'm going with because
I'm not going with the Iconics.
Oh, my God.
I don't think I'm going to go with the old school thinking of they don't need the belts to get over.
I'm going to go with Tony's theory of a tag team name gets the belts.
All right.
The Iconics.
The Iconics are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I on just a merit standpoint, sure, they should have the belts. They're the best women's tag team that is on either brand.
They are annoying, Tony. They have high-pitched voices. They are Australian.
They are fantastic.
It is awesome.
I'm actually gonna go with Natalya and Beth Phoenix. I do think I'm gonna take a wild guess and guess that it was part of Beth's contract for coming back that she was guaranteed a title run, and they're like, screw it, we're not giving you the women's belt. We'll throw these tag belts on you.
I'm gonna say Vince doesn't even know Beth Phoenix is in the match.
Interesting. Well, then the other side of it is that Natalya saved Brett last night.
No,
Here's your
Natalya
reward.
watched Brett be attacked by a man in a Rasta hat.
Go back and watch the video.
You watched Teddy Hart. That is a man. That is a man with yellow pants who cares about his
Who showed
possibly
up in the
not
Hall
uncle.
of Fame in yellow Zubas.
I don't think he's related to Bret Hart either.
That was amazing.
Just by name, which is a fake
fucking
name.
Teddy Hart, man.
Teddy Hart is the son of Georgia Hart, or like one of the daughters.
Not related Hart, yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So the next match we have Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre.
Oh,
I'm going
baby.
with who cares?
Yeah,
who you
Sure.
got?
It's going to be Roman, but sure.
Tony?
Oh yeah, they still trying to make that happen, huh? The Roman Reigns thing.
Well, he obviously, he
How
got
caught
leukemia.
up to date are you on Roman? Yeah.
I knew he had cancer.
Okay.
He beat it.
He beat it.
We all support him beating cancer.
Sure.
And now he's coming back, and
He still sucks.
that's
not-
Tony. That's straight from Tony's mouth. Sasha the third says, "I love all cancer patients and survivors." I'm going with Roman.
They're
Reigns
gonna
as
push
well.
Roman. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Drew, if they do give Drew the win, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be a shock that Roman loses at Mania, and to give Drew that opportunity would be fantastic for him.
So next up we have Bobby Lashley, who Tony probably doesn't know who he is. He's a large African American gentleman.
Okay.
And he's taking on a small Caucasian gentleman named Finn Balor,
Oh,
who is wrestling as the Demon.
Yeah,
because
I
he
was
has
just
to
gonna
pull out
say.
the Demon to fight Bobby Lashley, who is
Yeah.
a TNA superstar.
okay.
And I'm flexing.
So yeah, I remember that the small white man last Royal Rumble, and
Yeah,
I was
there you
like,
go.
"Who the fuck is this guy?" And you guys are like, "What? How do you not know who that is?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know."
And he lost then.
He did lose then. Was he? He didn't have the makeup on though, if I remember.
Correct, because he didn't need the makeup to beat Brock Lesnar, but he needs the makeup to beat Bobby Lashley.
I don't think he's never lost with the makeup on.
Correct.
And he's wearing the makeup.
And
Yes.
he's,
All right,
he's wearing
book
the
it. He's in.
makeup. He
He's
has to
over.
win. Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, I'm going with Demon Bobby Lashley, who comes out in blackface, but it's okay because he's black.
All right.
So we'll see where that heads, and if this gets edited. Next up, we got Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. May not happen because Rey Mysterio might
heard he's
be
good.
injured. Okay, so Samoa Joe, who is a Samoan who wears shorts, versus Rey Mysterio, who you know because
Oh my God!
you watched him in 1996.
55 years old.
Do you remember Samoa Joe from the Indies from like 2001?
Yeah, he was like the TNA chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never watched it, but I remember the name.
You didn't miss a thing. He's still wearing the exact same thing he was wearing 12 years ago.
I love Samoa Joe, and I'm going with Samoa Joe, even though I picked Ray in a different podcast.
I'm gonna pick Ray.
I'm going to go with Samoa Joe. I think you're dumb to put it on Ray. You're going to give him the win.
We're going to go to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because that's how we roll.
Okay.
Once again, not giving you names. You just have to guess who's in there and take a pick, and that's it. I'm with my hero, EC3, TNA superstar and champion.
I like it. I'm going to go...
You have guys like
Again,
Titus O'Neil, who might not make it to the ring.
Yeah, he's the guy that fell underneath the ring.
yeah.
That was great.
Apollo Crews.
I'm going to...
All the members of the Ascension.
Braun has to win based on his... let's talk about Braun for a second.
Yeah,
The SNL stuff.
Yeah.
Braun was not on, nor was WWE mentioned on Saturday Night Live at all last night. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, let's trade talent, but not trade. You just
Right. Yeah. You give our talent exposure, and we're going to do nothing for you. That's insane to me.
what's going to be insane is when Michael Che eliminates Braun Strowman from the Rumble. Oh, Tony, Michael Che and Colin Jost are part of the Rumble.
Oh, man.
They've cut promos, and Braun Strowman has been their, what's it called, nemesis?
Yeah. So my pick is not Braun. I'd much rather. I don't even know if he's in the match, but I'll go with Heath Slater.
All right, we'll go with Heath Slater.
Give him a little rub.
Payday, perhaps.
Sure.
We'll see if he's in it.
He had a spotlight on him last night during the Brett thing.
Tony, what you got?
John Cena.
Okay,
Interesting.
we're going to allow this answer
He
because
is always my pick.
he has no match currently,
Okay.
and that doesn't mean he can't be there.
He's going to run in, dude.
And it could be for something as important as the Andre the
Giant
Giant
Battle
Memorial.
Amazing.
Next match, we got AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, which to me has been like some of the best build-up.
It went from no build-up to... They went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks have been phenomenal.
There's nothing on the line.
Right.
It's just two guys
It's a straight-up match.
talking trash, and I think it's going to be a good match. I'm going to go with Randy Orton because he's a WWE guy, and Vince
Sure.
is going to be
Fuck
like, I don't
TNA,
know who
yeah.
AJ Styles is.
I'll go with AJ. I think Vince is high on him.
What you got, Tony?
I got to run downstairs.
Oh.
So the next matchup we have is Shane McMahon versus The Miz. I think you know how I feel about this matchup in particular.
Sure.
Who you got in a Falls Count Anywhere match?
I wish I knew more about this. I haven't seen any of the Miz's face turn.
All right,
any
so
of that run.
here's-
and I've heard it's been awesome. Right?
Not to me. The gist of it is The Miz is a face, which he shouldn't be. He should never be a face.
That's my standpoint. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
interested enough to start watching it.
That's
But
why I
everything
don't think-
read is it's unbelievable.
That's why I don't think this is a good thing because, A, Shane McMahon shouldn't be on any show, period.
Agreed.
He shouldn't be an on-air talent. He shouldn't be anywhere except flying helicopters into things. The Miz, on the other hand, should be a heel.
Sure.
Whether he's a face just so Shane gets to be a heel, or whether it's like, hey, I have a TV show, make me likable. Whatever the reasoning is, he's not as good of a face. He's a good face. He's not as good of a face as he is a heel. And I hate it. I hated everything about it. So Shane McMahon and The Miz, went on this journey. They won the tag titles. They ended up losing the tag titles. And then Shane recently turned, and they made it personal by having Miz's dad at ringside. And Shane McMahon turned on his dad and The Miz as well. And it's stupid. Shane McMahon sucks. I hope Shane McMahon is listening to this. It's just Santino and Shane McMahon listening to this. I will be happy. But, I hate Shane McMahon. So
I haven't been watching the Miz's face run. Listening to you, I was like, well, it's Mania, biggest day of the year. Let's turn him back heel. What can they do? And I couldn't think of anything because how do you turn heel against a heel? But then you brought up his dad. So maybe he turns heel against turning on his father.
But, well, I was going to say I would cheer that. But, yeah, I guess that is heel.
Sure.
But
I'm just trying to think of anything. The other alternative is him punching Maurice in the face.
who is currently pregnant with their
Right,
second
that's
child.
my point, right.
Oh, that's why it was the face. I get it. Send a message. Tony, who you got? Miz or Shane McMahon?
Bring me the Miz, just because Shane McMahon is terrible. I wish that one of those stunts where he jumps off something high would go awry.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe tonight's the night, guys.
Hopefully. All right, so next up we have Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. This is Kurt Angle's farewell match. He's done after this. So they said, let's get the biggest star we can possibly get in a man in a vest. Now, I like Baron Corbin. I don't like his vest, but I like his wrestling. The way he talks is kind of, it's like me. It's, it's beautiful at heart. But it's not good.
Wonderful,
it's
sure.
not good. If this is the match that stays this way, this is, for Tony, this is a lot of people are saying maybe Cena will come in and they'll have Cena Angle. Because Cena's first match was against Kurt Angle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it would have been.
But everybody is thinking that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
so
Cena
it's
does
probably
have a
not
match.
going to happen.
It's Angle's last
It's too
match.
perfect.
The entire crowd at the Hall of Fame last night was chanting at Cena. At the Hall of Fame. Like, that's not when you chant. But they're chanting at Cena. I forget how they worded it, but it was some Angle.
Cena is cool. Everybody loves Cena.
That's not how I chant.
You know what I mean?
I'm not
chanting,
even.
They were chanting for him to wrestle Angle.
Yeah.
And then Cena just ended up getting annoyed by it, from what I heard.
Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. Tony, I know you picked John Cena, so I'm not even going to ask you. Pee-wee, who you got?
Yeah, I think you have to send Kurt out on a win here.
Kurt Casey James, former teacher's pet, or Kurt Angle has to win if that's the match.
So he wins the retirement match and retires anyway.
Yeah,
It's not a retirement match; it's a farewell match.
There
Okay.
you go.
Oh, okay.
And you are. I mean, the tradition says you're supposed to go out on your back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so he would
somebody
be
else
going
over,
against
right?
that.
Come
but-
in on your back, leave on your back.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, you're a jobber at the
Yeah,
beginning.
that makes sense. I just never heard that. Okay.
Now on to a actual retirement match. Triple H takes on Batista. I never saw any of Batista's career until recently, so this has no
awesome.
I have no feelings for this. I don't really care. I think Triple H is going to lose, and then he's going to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, and then he's going to wrestle at next year's Mania, even though
100%.
he's supposed to be retired.
Yep.
Checks out to me.
Consensus
It's-
that's exactly what's going to
Yep.
happen.
It's got again going to the contract of Batista agreeing to come back. I'm almost certain it was in his contract that he has to win. Almost. How the fuck do I know? But you get what I mean. It's
Next matchup,
sure
we're going to have Buddy Murphy, who's the
anything could
Cruiserweight
happen.
champion. You don't know what's going to happen. He's going to take on Tony Nese in a match that happened 5 minutes ago. Tony, we've already announced who won, and you were in the room. Who's going to win?
The question is,
Buddy Murphy or Tony Nese?
do I remember what you just said? I'm going to go with Tony Nese.
Oh, he
yeah.
did it.
Good
He
listen.
did it. I'm going to go with Buddy Murphy.
Bold choice.
I think he's been champ for a while, and I think he's gonna hold on to it. It's gonna be maybe a controversial ending, maybe not. If I look to my right, I might know what the ending is, but I'll take Buddy Murphy.
Sure.
Pee Wee,
sure.
who you got?
No, sure. The smart money's on Murphy. You got it.
Yeah, Tony, you're an idiot. I don't know
Clearly.
what's wrong with you. The next match, which is the main event, but only the second most important match if you're talking to Wikipedia. We're going to have Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for both women's titles.
Is there any chance, even though as much as they promoted it as the main event, that this match does not go on last? You're saying it's 100%.
It has to be.
They've done this before, where they promoted full matches and just not done them. Now they're promoting the match order.
But it's not just a match, it's a women's revolution.
I understand, but
They could say, you're all out of the match, Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano.
I'm just saying, to Vince, that promotion means nothing. That was nothing more than to get people to tune in. Now they are tuning in, and Vince can do whatever he wants. I'm just saying, I would not be overly surprised if that match does not go on last.
Will there be a conspiracy theory if it is second to last and Wikipedia knew and nobody else knew?
100%.
So who you got winning?
I haven't even thought about that. It's got to be Becky, right?
If it's not Becky, like the whole year has been for shambles.
Sure.
For shame.
I don't understand the Asuka, the title change to get the belt on Charlotte, unless you just wanted to get all the belts on Becky as quickly as possible.
I think maybe to combine the belts eventually so that they don't have two championships because they
But
see
why
that...
do that if they're going to Fox at the end of the year? Why have one champ, unless that champ is bouncing from show to show?
Because it's still, the division isn't strong enough. Women,
Okay.
They should
I
have their own
agree.
show.
And I've seen people talk about that where they're saying that the brand split isn't going to last, that they're eventually just going to morph back into what they go through the month before WrestleMania, where there isn't really a split. They're just going to start doing that all year and just morph it all back together.
I could see them doing that and having one of the shows be an all-women's show.
Okay, I could see that.
Because
Sure.
women's
I
equality...
don't know what they have planned. This is one of those.
Yeah.
Vince made a ridiculous call. Not ridiculous in it's absurd, just ridiculous and nobody saw it coming in giving Charlotte the belt 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. And I don't know what they're doing with it.
Here's the thing. Last year,
God bless you, Vince. Keeping us
Ronda
guessing.
Rousey and Charlotte Flair, after last WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey was predicted to be taking on Charlotte Flair in this current WrestleMania. Everybody was saying that's what it's going to lead up to. But something happened. Becky Lynch became the most over woman, not just woman, the most over person on TV in all of wrestling. Tony,
My eyes just like rolled in the back of my head.
yeah, and
sorry.
not in a
It's been going on since like November.
yeah.
It's
So
really?
she is she's on a different level, and it's basically led to the point where she has to win. It's WrestleMania. It's the end of the year.
Yeah, this
quote
should be the
unquote,
payoff
for
to
me.
the this is the last chapter of the story.
She's gone through all these different things where they've taken her out of the main event and put her back in.
The rumor is Ronda is leaving for a while after this, so you can't do the bonus chapter for the next pay-per-view.
But the only question is, if the original plan was maybe to have Charlotte Flair defeat Ronda Rousey at this WrestleMania in a singles match, do they keep with the plan that they originally had Charlotte as winning? So now she is the champion.
I mean, sure they could, but they change plans all the time. There's no way Kofi was planned to be in the title picture at all.
That's the only thing that would give me any sort of doubt that it's Becky. The fact that was the plan.
That's the only argument you can make for someone who isn't Becky to win the match.
Yeah. It's the Roman Reigns effect. We've watched Roman Reigns go up and down throughout the year, and then at the end of WrestleMania, he's still there. And they've said, hey, Roman Reigns is going to be there at WrestleMania. It doesn't matter what he does throughout the year. We have to go over Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins.
So did you pick with a female?
Sure, Charlotte.
Bold choice.
Bold.
Sure.
I like it, though. I like
bold
it.
choice for a bold man. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Tony, you know the history. You love the history. Who you got?
All right, so this match is going to be 3 minutes long. Brock's going to throw him around for 3 minutes, and then he will get a small package, and he will lose. Seth Rollins will win.
Seth Rollins and his small package defeat Brock Lesnar and his large paycheck.
So I'm going to go with Brock retaining. I'll go out on a limb and say Dean is not leaving, and Dean is going to cost Seth the belt. Like, Seth has got it won. Dean comes in, costs it.
So if you listen to STF Underground, it's a different podcast.
I've heard of it, sure.
Yeah. That was my exact prediction, word
fantastic.
for word. So me and you are the only people who think that Dean Ambrose is not leaving in the world.
So
that was your WrestleMania recap. I hope you enjoyed WrestleMania. We'll see you next week.
That's right. We will see you next week, Friday, April 19th, when we drop the second ever episode of the Bitter Marks podcast. Hopefully we get better at some volume problems, some editing, some whatever else bothered you with this one. If it doesn't get better, well, sorry, Santino.
WWE clearly needs a woman who's 6'6" or taller.